Here are the top stories for today, October 11, 2021. And it's final. President Rodrigo Duterte says his daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, will not join next year's presidential race. He says Senator Ronald De La Rosa has a good chance of winning the presidency. The country is on track to receive 100 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines by the end of October. More U.S.-made jabs arrive over the weekend, boosting the inoculation drive. Less babies, the Philippines' birth rate drops in 2020, the lowest in 34 years, despite more families staying at home and limited access to family planning methods. And police officers are directed to conduct early preparations as Filipinos are set to pay tribute to the departed during the Undas season to make sure the occasion will not result in super spreader events. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. And it is final. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte has made up her mind not to join the 2022 presidential race. No less than President Rodrigo Duterte himself confirmed that his daughter will not run for the presidential race. In an interview over SMNI News Channel, the president explained that Mayor Sara is just true to her words given her oft-repeated statements that she is not running. Despite Sara's decision to finish her last term as mayor, the president said her daughter could still seek a higher government post in the future. Mayor Sara filed her COC to run for her third term as mayor of Davao City. She is currently in isolation after she tested positive for COVID-19 with mild symptoms. Meanwhile, PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar extends his prayers of good health and speedy recovery to Mayor Sara. Andanar also reminds everyone to follow all health and safety protocols against the virus and to only get their news and information from reliable and truthful sources. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte defended the decision of the ruling PDP Laban party to field Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa as their presidential bet. He said the political party may have decided at the last minute of the filing of the certificate of candidacy to have a head that will represent the whole team. President Duterte said he is hopeful that De La Rosa would have a fighting chance of winning as it would benefit the country to have a military man as its leader. He also noted that the PDP Laban is also looking forward to a complete change of the present crop of senators. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, announced that not all the aspirants who have filed their certificates of candidacy will make it to the official ballot for the May 9, 2022 elections. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said the COCs will undergo strict scrutiny to determine the final list of candidates. COMELEC data shows that there are 97 aspirants for president, 29 for vice president, and 176 for senators. For local posts, there are 733 candidates for Congress, 281 for governor, 226 for vice governor, 1,951 for provincial board, 4,486 for mayor, 3,968 for vice mayor, and 35,636 for Sangguniang Panlunsod. Political parties have until November 15 to replace candidates, but only party members will be allowed as substitutes. Moreover, the Commission says nuisance candidates will be determined if they file just to make fun of the system, create confusion because they have the same names as the more famous candidates, or if they have no legitimate intention of running for the elective office. The final list of candidates will be out by December. Meanwhile, voters' registration resumes today and will end on October 30. Political candidates in the provinces are all set for the upcoming elections. Provincial News Roundup now from Chris Mundo.
In Albay, Governor Al Francis Bichara will be seeking a third and last term against the Legazpi City Mayor Noel Rosal and two independent candidates, Riodel Luna and Mario Basquil. For Vice Governor, incumbent Edsel Greco Lagman will be challenged by former Vice Governor Harold Imperial. In the 1st District, Ed Salagman will eye a third term against 3 independent candidates, Rebecca Quijano, Nard Bruce, and Adela Villar. Administration bets Salcedo will likewise attempt for a final term versus Carmelo Redencion de Leos Jr., Danilo Maravillas, Gil Goyena, and Domingo Arao. Also going for a third term in the 3rd District, Cabredo will go up against former Congressman Reno Lim. In Isabela, the Albanos and Ds who have ruled the province for decades are here to stay, at least in the 2022 elections. COMELEC data shows that there are 9 Ds and 4 Albanos who filed their certificates of candidacy. And in Bataan, 3 candidates are running unopposed. These are 2nd District Representative Jose Enrique Joet Garcia III, who is running for governor. His brother, Balanga City's 3rd-term re-electionist, Mayor Francis Garcia, and Representative Geraldine Roman of the province's 1st District. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar is bent on joining the private media anew after his stint in government service. He said he entered this job as a technocrat or an expert in media that will fix the government media, and he will exit again as a technocrat. Andanar, who was included in the initial Senate slate of the PDP Laban, said he had assured President Duterte that his office would keep informing the public about his administration's accomplishments. Before his appointment, he served as a television news anchor, radio commentator, podcaster, video and audio blogger, and voiceover artist. Andanar also headed the News 5 Everywhere, the online news video and audio portal of TV5. Andanar expressed confidence that he will return as a wiser private media personality because of his experience and knowledge in initiating reforms in the state media. Still to come, road to 100 million doses. The country's vaccine czar says this is possible by the end of October. And the Philippine National Police deploys medical personnel to help hospitals dealing with a surge in COVID-19 cases. Details ahead. This is the PNA Newsroom. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
If you are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective.
I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic, because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work. Vaccine czar Secretary Carlito Galvez says the government is on track to receive about 100 million doses of the life-saving jabs by the end of October. This as more doses of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines are arriving in the country. On Sunday, Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez and U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Heather Variava welcomed the arrival of 918,450 doses of Pfizer vaccines donated by the U.S. government through the COVAX facility. Another 924,300 doses today will also contribute to the government's stockpile of COVID-19 vaccine supply. Galvez urged local government units to take the lead in initiating partnerships with different agencies as well as the private sector to get the COVID-19 jabs to the arms of more people. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez Jr. assured that the country has sufficient storage space to safely keep all arriving COVID-19 vaccines. Galvez and other officials welcomed the latest delivery of the 1.3 million doses of the U.S.-made Moderna vaccines at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 1 in Parañaque City Saturday afternoon. Galvez said the country can safely store about 28 to 30 million vaccines based on the inventory of storage freezers with negative 70 and 80 degrees capacity. Galvez also said the Department of Health is now coordinating with local government units to hasten their vaccination programs and ensure that the COVID-19 vaccines are not wasted. At least 885,000 Moderna doses were procured by the government, while 477,000 were bought by the private sector. The Philippines has so far received 85.5 million doses of vaccine since February this year. 48.9 million doses were administered nationwide as of Thursday last week. The Philippine National Police and the Department of Health on Sunday signed a deal to deploy police medical personnel to hospitals experiencing a surge in COVID-19 cases. 10 nurses of the PNP Health Service were formally deployed to the DOH. DOH National Capital Region Director Gloria Balboa thanked the PNP for the additional support and manpower. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar meanwhile said they are more than prepared to support government programs for the promotion of health and for the benefit of the Filipino people. Last month, President Rodrigo Duterte appealed to the medical personnel of the police and the military to help hospitals that are overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients. The Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, is looking at achieving population protection by year-end with the vaccination of 85% of its personnel nationwide. In June 2021, the PCOO started the vaccination drive of the general population of the agency together with their dependents. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar said the agency has made it a goal to vaccinate all of its government personnel and their families. Legal Affairs Assistant Secretary Omar Romero said around 3,364 agency personnel and its attached agencies nationwide have been fully vaccinated as of September 27. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Communications Services is the first PCOO unit to reach population protection this quarter, as all of its 119 personnel are now fully vaccinated against the virus. Other attached agencies like the Philippine Information Agency, News and Information Bureau, Apple Production Unit, and the National Printing Office also recorded a high vaccination rate of 88% to 90%. Up next, the country logs its lowest birth rate in over 3 decades amid the coronavirus pandemic. And the PNP orders cops to prepare security plans ahead of next month's Undas commemoration. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Ito ang Fast 5. Mayroon tayong 5 minuto para tanungin ang mga eksperto tungkol sa COVID-19.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ana Ong Lim and I'm with the DOH Technical Advisory Group.
Anong mga sintomas ng COVID-19 ang pwede i-treat sa bahay?
So napakagandang tanong. Ang mga mild symptoms, pinakakaraniwan pa rin siya sa mga nararamdaman ng mga taong nagpa-positive sa COVID-19. Kasama na dito yung lagnat, ubo, sipon, pananakit ng katawan, yung iba nagtatae. Pinaka-importante talaga is bantayan yung hirap sa paghinga kasi once sumumpong na yon, hindi na natin pwedeng sabihin mild and definitely kailangan na siguro na makita sa ospital o makita ng kanilang doktor.
Paano natin malalaman kung pwede tayo mag-home isolation?
Magandang mapag-usapan ng home isolation kasi lalo na ngayon, no, maraming mga taong nasa mga TTMFs or quarantine facilities or even sa hospital. And for as long as yung ating pamamahay ay may sariling lugar or isang silid na kung saan pwedeng mamalagi yung may sakit, and mas maganda rin sana na may sarili siyang magagamit na banyo.
Ano naman ang pwede kong gawin kung meron akong lagnat?
Ang lagnat ng COVID is not any different kumpara dun sa lagnat na nadala ng ibang sakit. Kino-consider natin na may lagnat na ang isang tao pagka ang kanyang temperatura ay 37.5 pataas. Now, typically, kung meron tayong lagnat, iniinuman lang naman natin to ng paracetamol. Karaniwan, isang tableta tuwing ika-4 hanggang ika-6 na oras.
Ano naman ang home treatment para sa sore throat?
Ang sore throat, karaniwan, ginagamot lang natin yan using supportive care. So tulad na lang ng saline gargles or pagmumog, no, ng water na may konting asin, o kaya pwede ring gumamit ng mga menthol preparations or menthol candies para lang medyo maibsan yung pananakit ng lalamunan.
Ano naman ang warning signs ng paglala ng mga sintomas?
Ang pinaka-importanting bantayan sa mga simptomas na lumalala na related to COVID-19 is really yung hirap sa paghinga. Pwede rin yun na rin na magdala nung confusion, pwede rin yung mga simptomas tulad ng sobrang panghihina kasi halos hindi na makakain, hindi makainom, no? So yung mga ganung klaseng signs, kailangan siyang masubaybayan ng healthcare professional.
Paano ko naman maiiwasang mahawaan ang mga kasama ko sa bahay?
Pinaka-importante dun sa iisipin natin pag tayo nag-isolate is dapat talaga nakabukod tayo sa ibang tao. So, dun lang tayo sa ating silid, dun na tayo kakain, hindi na tayo lalabas hanggang makatapos ng 10 araw. Now, kung tayo naman ay nasa isang lugar na shared bathroom pa rin ang ating ginagamit, sana yung surfaces ng banyo tulad nung yung doorknobs, yung faucet, yung pinaka-surface ng lababo, at saka yung pinag-upuan natin sa inidoro, pupunasan muna natin yan bago natin iwanan ng banyo para yung susunod na gagamit, hindi naman mahawaan ng ating mga secretions o yung mga tilamsik ng ating laway kung sakasakali naman ay tayo ang gumamit ng banyo.
Sino po ang pwedeng kausapin kung may karagdagang mga tanong pa ako?
Maraming resources sa ating mga communities at napakaraming health workers na handang tumulong. No? So unang-una na siguro doon yung ating mga BHERTs, no? Sila naman ay naabisuhan, o yung mga midwives or nurses sa ating community, even our local health center physicians, they're always ready to help us with our questions.
Maraming salamat, Doc Ana. May mga paalala pa po ba kayo?
Karamihan pa rin naman sa mga kababayan natin nagpa-positive for COVID ay nabibilang dun sa mild and asymptomatic category. So, mukha namang kaya, no? Most of the time, nababantayan itong ating mga kapamilya within the home. Ang importante lang, siguro, habang maaga, meron ng link to telemedicine o kaya nakausap natin yung ating mga barangay or community healthcare workers para kung sakasakalit medyo lumala yung lagay ng ating kapamilya ay nakaset up na kung anong susunod nating gagawin. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat and mag-ingat po tayo.
Bida Solusyon Plus laban sa COVID-19.
The Commission on Population and Development reported a lower birth rate amid the COVID-19 pandemic, even as more families stayed home and access to family planning methods is limited. About 1.51 million births were registered in 2020, the lowest since 1986, which recorded 1.49 million births. Based on a preliminary report of the Philippine Statistics Authority as of June 2021, the total is also lower than 2019's 1.67 million. The country likewise saw the lowest number of marriages in the last 20 years in 2020, with a 44% drop from 2019. Undersecretary for Population and Development Juan Antonio Perez III also reported the addition of 400,000 users of family planning services nationwide in 2020. Perez attributed the birth rate decline to the combined impacts of fewer marriages, women delaying pregnancies, and the increase in women practicing modern family planning. All Filipino residents from age 0 can register for the Philippine Identification or PhilSys ID card. The Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA said parents or guardians only need to bring the child's birth certificate for the PhilSys registration. However, parents and guardians are not allowed to bring children to registration centers, particularly those aged 0 to 4 years old. Due to COVID-19 pandemic restrictions, the PSA established online registration at the PhilSys website for Step 1. Registrants shall then book an appointment for Step 2 or the biometrics phase at registration centers. The entire process is free of charge. More than 32 million Filipinos have completed the Step 2 biometrics registration as of September 24, while at least 1.9 million national ID cards have been delivered by PhilPost. Following the successful implementation of the security measures for the 8-day filing of certificates of candidacy, the Philippine National Police is now preparing for this year's observance of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar said he has instructed unit commanders to start preparing for the security of all cemeteries and other concerned areas on November 1 and 2. Eleazar also reminded the public to plan ahead and check the regulations that will be implemented in their respective local government units in relation to visiting cemeteries. Last year, some LGUs closed down cemeteries and memorial parks in anticipation of the influx of people amid the threat of COVID-19. Some LGUs, on the other hand, implemented visiting schedules to ensure the observance of Undas would not turn into a super spreader event. MANOBO tribesmen condemned the killing of one of their members by the New People's Army amid the celebration of Indigenous People Month this October. 3 heavily armed communist rebels shot dead Boy Maca Astudillo, a resident of Sitio Inadan, Barangay Magroyong in San Miguel, Surigao del Sur. Datu Rico Maca, the IP mandatory representative of San Miguel town, said one of the 3 NPA rebels fired at the victim 3 times while his son was made to watch. Maca said Astudillo was the nephew of Datu Bernardino Astudillo, who was brutally hacked to death by NPA guerrillas along with another tribesman in Barangay Magroyong on March 19, 2020. Datu Astudillo earned the ire of the rebels when he opposed their continued presence in their community. Maca called out human rights groups to help the Manobo tribe of Surigao del Sur get justice for all the victims of summary executions done by the NPA. The pandemic has reduced most races and weekend runs to virtual editions. In virtual runs, runners run at their own pace outside or on treadmills, cover the distance registered, and upload the finish time to get certificates and medals. The Philippines will be among the countries that will hold anew the Herbalife Nutrition Virtual Run this October. The other participating nations for this edition are Australia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. Sridhara Jagopalan, Senior Director of Herbalife Nutrition Philippines, said the virtual run aims to break the health inertia to encourage communities to support one another on their healthy living journey. Last year's virtual run gathered 14,000 participants and covered close to 600,000 kilometers across Asia Pacific. The registration period for this year's race will be until October 15 via herbalifevirtualrun.com. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. And it's final. President Rodrigo Duterte says his daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, will not join next year's presidential race. He says Senator Ronald de la Rosa has a good chance of winning the presidency. The country is on track to receive 100 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines by the end of October. More U.S.-made jabs arrive over the weekend, boosting the inoculation drive. Less babies. The Philippines' birth rate drops in 2020, the lowest in 34 years, despite more families staying at home and limited access to family planning methods. And police officers are directed to conduct early preparations as Filipinos are set to pay tribute to the departed during the Undas season to make sure the occasion will not result in super spreader events. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 75 days to go before Christmas, roughly around 2 months and 15 days. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. We tell stories that inspire change.